Right, we begin with this breaking news at this hour. The Public Enterprises Department says Eskom will cease to exist by April unless it gets a capital injection. They are briefing MPs today on issues emanating from the State of the Nation address. ENCA's Annika Larsen is in Parliament and she joins us live now. Annika, good morning to you. Give us the latest on these details. Who is exactly saying this, that Eskom will go bust by April?
Yes, good morning. We've just stepped out urgently of a presentation by the Department of Public Enterprises to the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises on issues emanating from the State of the Nation address. And they've given out this presentation here. And as I was skimming through it on page 8, it says here, Eskom is technically insolvent and will cease to exist at current trajectory by April 2019. I actually thought it was a mistake, and I went up to the DDG and just whispered in his ear and said, are you absolutely sure that there is not a typing error here and that this is indeed the case? And he said, well, Annika, you're putting it rather crudely, but yes, it is indeed true. But I must put a disclaimer in here. He also said to me that it is very likely that it will not actually happen and that Treasury is going to have to bail it out yet again with a capital injection. We cannot allow Eskom to collapse.
Indeed, and that's exactly what the President has been emphasizing. But talk to us, Annika, about how much exactly it is needed to bail out Eskom. We know that at the moment it is in the red by about 419 billion rand. Talk to us about what is going to be needed, therefore, or what that injection will mean.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see how this is actually handled, because the President made it very clear again that it is going to remain a parastatal. It'll not be sold off. But it says here that the high levels of debt are currently at 15% of sovereign debt, and the default risk is threatening the economy. Cash generated does not cover operating services or debt servicing costs. Escalation of municipality and Soweto debt is 28 billion, growing at 1 billion rand a month. And the number of employees have increased from 32,000 in 2007 to 48,000 in 2018. So it's a severely bloated parastatal, and they're going to have to cut staff. And that in itself is going to cause massive problems from the unions, and insiders are saying that perhaps that's why 7 units collapsed all at the same time. Of course, that is pure conspiracy. It's speculation at this point, but it's certainly very, very unusual.
Annika, of course, this news coming as it does at a time when yesterday Moodys, the ratings agencies, put out a statement, not a very, very positive statement on Eskom.
That's right. And when you speak to foreign investors, and that statement came out about foreign envoys very concerned about state capture and corruption issues, certainly in Davos, recently at the World Economic Forum, none of the foreign state departments that I spoke to seemed to be very bothered about corruption. But they were exceptionally concerned about Eskom and the current state of infrastructure, because if they're going to pour businesses and startup companies here in South Africa, they want to be certain that their operations will be able to run with electricity. And another issue is, of course, such as factories such as Nestle are paying municipalities the money for electricity, and the municipalities are not paying Eskom, and Eskom is shutting them down. So this is a major blow to President Ramaphosa's foreign investment roadshow, if you like, and his aim at getting at least 2 trillion rand into the fiscus from foreign investment in 5 years' time.
Annika, just finally, the issue of leadership has been raised by some quarters. In fact, the ANC's alliance partner, the SACP, still repeating the same this morning, that there are leadership issues issues at Eskom that simply cannot be ignored. We heard from the minister yesterday saying that 2 to 3 engineers from outside of South Africa are now being brought in on an urgent basis. Surely the minister has got to say and reassure the nation that Phakamani Hadebe is still the right man to lead this important entity of government.
Well, one of the questions I have to ask is, did the leadership of Eskom and did the board tell the President and the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, who's in a special cabinet meeting? It does happen every second Thursday of the month. It's just called a special cabinet meeting. Did he alert them to the fact, did Phakamani Hadebe alert them to the fact that they were on an absolutely fragile basis in terms of the grid system, and at Kusile, for instance, at the time, or at least a few hours before? Did they know that the situation was so dire? And if not, why not? And why hasn't more been done in terms of the maintenance plan? We know that 50% of maintenance costs have been cut from the system. So why were the President and the Minister kept in the dark, so to speak, excuse the pun, about the current crisis, and why didn't they see it coming? So certainly, I'm sure in that 6-hour-long meeting held yesterday, that tempers must have been fairly high.
Annika, also the minister, is he going to be at some point going into this meeting of the portfolio committee? Because as you've just mentioned, there is a cabinet meeting that he's expected to attend every Thursday. So the assumption would be he's not in there right now. Perhaps it's the department officials that are inside that particular portfolio committee meeting.
Look, I've been told that the Minister will manage to leave the special cabinet meeting at some stage to attend this meeting and speak to MPs at this portfolio committee. We're not quite sure when. I'm expecting him to walk behind me at any time. We are told that he will be able to sneak out, but usually they sit until at least 1 o'clock, and I'm sure today's meeting is going to be a long one. But we are told that he will at some stage attend, and as soon as we finish this live crossing with you, we'll be back in that meeting and see how much progress has been made.
All right, thank you very much. That's ENCA's senior reporter, Annika Larsen, live for us in Parliament, just outside the rooms of that portfolio committee on public enterprises, where the officials of that department are currently accounting before the MPs.